Some of the best Space Marine sculpts that have ever existed have come out of the Space Marine Heroes range of miniatures. It's had quite a weird kind of history of how they came into being, why they exist, how to get them. So I thought it'd be a fun video to go through all of those and also paint up the first one I've managed to get my hands on for season 5, and then talk about how I plan on getting the rest of them from that season in the rest of the video. So before I get into it though, huge thank you to everyone there. Continue to support the channel in all the myriad ways it is possible to do so. Liking, commenting, subscribing, and of course watching are all amazing things. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And anyway, there goes the extra month supports over on Patreon. You guys are awesome. You keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. We try and give as much back as possible to those people. We give you extra videos, podcast episodes, community showcase over on our private Discord server, and monthly giveaways, a spearhead or a battle force of your choice to one lucky Patreon member every single month. So if that sounds like something that interests you, make sure you check it out, linked in the description below. Without further ado, let's dive in and have a look at all these awesome models. Okay, so this is my current collection of Space Marine heroes. We have wave 1, we have wave 2, we have wave 3, we have wave 4, and then the first model I have from wave 5. So let's go all the way back to the beginning to wave 1 of Space Marine heroes, what their purpose was, where they came from. So originally these were released in 2018 over in Japan. These were Japanese exclusive Space Marine blind box miniatures. Basically, Games Workshop had opened their first store in Japan, and they're obviously trying to capitalize on the market as much as possible, and knowing the kind of gambling culture that exists over there when it comes to collectibles and even just gambling in general. And they knew there was a market for people to purchase the blind box Space Marine miniatures. And it's something that I'm not really a huge fan of. I feel like if you want a specific miniature, you should have to, be able to buy that specific miniature. You shouldn't have to kind of gamble yourself away and try and get your hands on it. But anyway, the models were absolutely incredible, like truly, if I can ever pick one up, truly beautiful sculpts, as you can clearly see. And there's so many of them. So with the first wave, there was 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 miniatures in total that made up this collection. And obviously we were very keen to get our hands on these miniatures, and eventually they did make their way over to Europe, which we were very happy for. At the time I was working in Games Workshop, and they did come into the Games Workshop stores to buy. Now, the bizarre thing was they came in at a limited run. They left these 4 sculpts out. They didn't come across to Ireland. In fact, they've never come across to Ireland or Europe for sale, which is a really kind of a bizarre thing. These were the initial sculpts that you could get over there, which was a beautiful plasma gunner, a guy with bolt gun, bolt pistol, bolt gun, sergeant, another bolt gun, and the missile launcher. And then you got this incredible captain miniature. Now, the purpose of the blind and the whole thing was he was super rare. You were not guaranteed to get that captain miniature when you were purchasing your models. So you basically just had to keep buying and buying and buying. And it actually took me 76 attempts to get him. And if you think I'm joking, here's all the ones, the extra ones that I ended up having to buy before. These are all full. These Space Marine Hero Season 1 guys are all still full and on their sprues. There's the missile launcher guy. Because I just kept having to buy and buy and buy and buy in order to get that captain, which I found incredibly infuriating. I despise that as a concept. Anyway, we move on a little bit, and eventually they brought out these Space Marine Adventure boxed games, and they weren't available in Ireland. We did have to get it over from the States. But when we did finally get it, it included the additional 4 Wave 1 sculpts that I was missing to finish off that full set of 13 miniatures. So they held back the bolt gun, the flamer, the heavy bolter, sorry, the flamer, the auspex, and the guy running forward with the blade in his hand, who's particularly nice. So that made up these sculpts. So that's Wave 1 in all of its glory. I'm actually currently working my way through painting these guys up. I'm kind of finished one and working on the second one now. Trying to get all the Space Marine heroes painted up as Imperial Fists over the next couple of weeks. It's going to take more than a couple of weeks to do, but I am still enjoying it. So, Considering that they did bring these to Games Workshop stores, we figured moving forward, that's just what they were going to do. Well, we were wrong, because it moved into Wave 2, which was the beautiful Terminator collection. Now, they did exactly the same thing as they did before. There was 9 incredible sculpts, and then the Captain, which was considered to be rarer than the rest. And we suddenly had customers walking into the store holding the blind boxes and then cracking them open in the store, to which we immediately asked, where the hell did you get those from? And they were like, Forbidden Planet. So there was other kind of random collectible merch stores around the city that were getting them in to sell kind of in that form. No hobby stores could order them. No one could put them on their shelves, which I found incredibly bizarre and incredibly frustrating once again to try and get my hands on all of these incredible Terminator sculpts. I did not try, because obviously I had such a bad experience with Wave 1 trying to get my hands on that Terminator, that I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to let it slide on by for now. I'll try and get them in the future. And lo and behold, a couple of years later, Games Workshop brought them out as a made to order. One set, every single model, every single sculpt was around €100, which I thought was a great deal. So I snapped that up and managed to procure myself all 10 of these Space Marine Terminator sculpts, including the Captain. I've got 6 of the 10 painted so far. I'll continue the other 4 very, very soon, but very happy to have those in my collection. It then moved over to the Death Guard, which was Wave 4. They're a little bit harder to see on this kind of green mat. I do apologize. So I believe these were 2020. Let me just check my incredibly official notes that I've hidden back here behind here. So I've got all the dates right. Yeah, 2020 for the Death Guard. And once again, these guys came out in Japan first, and they were proving to be a little bit difficult to get our hands on over here. And then eventually Games Workshop brought out a box set like this one, which was how they came into the stores. But Games Workshop did do a fairly nice thing, or whoever made these box sets did a really cool thing, which was if you bought an entire box, so 8 boxes, you were guaranteed a full set. So you were guaranteed that you would at least walk away with these 6 sculpts, and then you would have kind of 2 duplicates of some of those models, which was a nicer way to do it. So with that, I was back in. I knew I had to spend a fixed amount of money, so I had to buy 8, and I would get all 6 sculpts and 2 guys spare. And then obviously this sorcerer started to appear, and everybody was like, okay, he's clearly part of this set. Where in the blue hell do I get this sorcerer from? And then it emerged he was only available in a paint set that was available in Tokyo. So once again, that was rather infuriating. He did not appear to be available anywhere in Europe or anywhere outside of Tokyo for that matter. And he was an absolutely incredible sculpt. Like, he's a 10 out of 10 model. And the thing that made it even more infuriating, this was the time of the launch of kind of the Primaris Marines fighting against the Death Guard. And we got a Plaguecaster inside of that Dark Imperium box set. And that Plaguecaster was an ugly, ugly model. And I don't just mean because he's Death Guard, because I love Death Guard. He was just a really bad sculpt in my opinion. And then they showed off this guy who was far superior, to which they quickly informed us that you can't have him. And he became one of those ones that was actually, out of all the miniatures that were the Space Marine Hero collectible, the hardest one to find. If you went on eBay, he was going for over €100, €140. There was no way I was going to spend that money on it. So once again, I just let that guy slide. I was like, you know what? At some stage, maybe I'll be able to get him. Maybe some stage I won't. I don't know. Who knows? But I'll move on from him for a minute, because I'll come back to him in a moment when it kind of all makes sense. We moved on to Wave 4, and this was the first wave of Primaris Space Marines. Obviously, we'd have the Dark Imperium drop, and Primaris Marines were all the rage. And you got these incredible sculpts. And they dropped them in a much more kind of relaxed manner. There was 7 sculpts to choose from, 6 miniatures, and then 1 kind of Space Marine Lieutenant / Captain model, who is also a really beautiful sculpt. Really like him. He's very, very cool. And they did exactly the same as they did in the previous Death Guard set, which was, if you buy this box set, so this one's actually sealed, so this is another set of them, there is guaranteed to be 1 of each of these models inside, and you'll get 1 extra guy spare. So I was really happy and pleased by that. So once again, I just grabbed up the box set. I ended up getting sent a second one, which I plan to do as Imperial Fist. These guys obviously done as my Raven Guard. So I'll crack them open at some stage and get that on. So I managed to get Season 4 a lot easier than I got Season 3. and we were still kind of stuck trying to figure out where the hell I was going to get this kind of playcaster from. And then Games Workshop did the bizarre thing and went, hey guys, here's the Kill Team starter set. The Kill Team starter set is a really reasonable price. It's like €90. You get 2 full Kill Teams and some pre-made scenery and a board and dice. And like Games Workshop have done those really cool Kill Team sets. This one was a very reasonable price. And inside the starter set, you got all of Wave 3 and all of Wave 4, including the super rare Playcaster. So this was a big thank you very much, Games Workshop, for solving all my problems. So I ended up buying this set again, even though I already had all these models. I had all these models twice. I still bought it again because I wanted that Playcaster, and obviously more Death Guard and more Primaris Marines will never really go amiss. This set, like if you wanted to buy Space Marine Heroes 1 now, good luck to you, you're not getting them. If you want to buy Space Marine Heroes Wave 2, good luck, they're not available. It costs you an arm and leg on eBay to get these miniatures. This Kill Team set is currently still available on Games Workshop. So if you have a little bit of cash lying around, you like Space Marines, you like Death Guard, or you're just a collector of really nice miniatures to paint, then this is one of those purchases that I think you should make. It's not just a random squad of Space Marines. Every single Space Marine is like a unique sculpt doing something cool in a cool pose. And each one has a helmet and unhelmeted option. It's the same for the Death Guard. Every single model is completely unique. They all come with Nurglings. They all come with helmeted and unhelmeted heads. And obviously, when this goes away, I don't know how people will possibly ever get their hands on Wave 3 and Wave 4 of the Space Marine Heroes anymore either. So, like I said, if you're a collector, you don't want to miss out on this, I recommend picking up this. That brings us on to Wave 5. Another one which is the kind of most current one, which did come out in 2025, so it's still a while ago now. And I saw this set that was released by Target. So I managed to get my hands on this. These are all Target exclusive board games, so it was very cool to finally get my hands on it. And I silly thought I was going to get my first 3 Space Marines for Wave 5 in that, because you do get 3 Primaris Marines fighting 3 Death Guard again. More Death Guard. And they are the Death Guard from Wave 4. And it is the Playcaster that was extremely rare again. So I have another copy of that model that was driving me mad. So I was like, it's okay. It's a reasonably valued set. It's like $50. And I'm going to get 3 of the blind Wave 5 miniatures. And then there's only like 3 more to buy, which I'll buy on eBay. It arrived and I quickly realized that they had scammed me. I did get one Season 5, and that's this guy. It's the guy I've been painting up on the other half of this screen for this entire video. And he's on the floor now. Got that plastic, just pretend that didn't happen. Wave 5 guy. But the other 2 members are the Sniper and the Heavy Bolter from Wave 4 again. Didn't realize that's how it was. Should have paid attention to the fine print. That kind of annoyed the hell out of me. But what are you gonna do? And like I said, I managed to get my first one. And because they keep like making them extremely difficult to get, and then eventually they'll just kind of drop them as a made to order. Like I'm sure they're gonna give us a made to order at some point for them. So do I bother going on eBay and trying to get the rest of this team? Or do I just wait and pray that Games Workshop makes them available to us at some point sooner? I can just order them up. Those are my kind of conflicting thoughts and feelings right now. As the Space Marine Heroes goes, I do really like it as a concept. If you are a painter or a collector, these models are fantastic for obviously getting a lot of miniatures that are going to be really interesting and really fun to paint for not too much money. If you're a really slow painter and you just like these random projects, just walking in and grabbing one blind box, going home, cracking it open, seeing what you got and getting started with that can be an incredibly fun and therapeutic thing, taking that choice out of your head. But if you're like me and you're a collector at heart and you want to have every single one of these models, sometimes it can be a little bit annoying. Because they're so difficult to get in Europe, I actually haven't managed to get any of the Age of Sigmar ones yet. Wave 1, which they released last year, was all Stormcast Eternals. And that set of miniatures is currently the only Stormcast Eternal miniatures that I don't own. I have every other sculpt of every other Stormcast model except those, and it's driving me bananas. And then they've just showed off the Cities of Sigmar models, which are all beautiful. I can't wait till they reveal what that Witch Hunter actually looks like. But yeah, I just hope they make them more readily available over this side of the pond, because as you can see, we are avid collectors and we want more. While I have you guys here, people often ask me how I transport to keep my miniatures safe, especially all these kind of crazy designs. And I'm like, you know, this guy is clearly... Models like this, as you can see, are quite spindly and quite fragile. So shoving him in a foam case or something like that would make me nervous. But every single one of my miniatures has a WarMag's magnet attached to them. It adds a really nice extra bit of weight to all the miniatures. And I mean, every single model has them. And then this is my one that I'm currently keeping my kill teams in. I swear it'll focus. My kill teams in. So I've got my orc kill team, I've got my waste riders, I've got my enforcers and my navy armsmen. That's where I keep these guys. I treat them as a kill team because I don't have very many Raven Guard right now. And they just simply attach into the magnetic sheets like so. And they're all super secure, never falling out, never going to slip and slide, never going to rub against each other and damage them. Slap the case on. And there we have it. Models, safe and sound. And all of my collection is slowly but surely moving over to being stored in these cases. They stack really well. And I can see what's inside them. There's loads of extra stickers you get for writing what exactly is inside them on the front, back and tops of these cases. So it's easy to spot them in a pile. So if you want to check out WarMag, I will of course leave them linked down in the description below. You can check them out for yourself and order them for your models. So there's my thoughts and feelings on the Warhammer Hero series of miniatures. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. You learned a thing or two about where they came from. Maybe you didn't know they existed like this at all. Maybe you didn't know there was wave 1s and wave 2 because they are now long gone. And now maybe you'll be curious, try and find a few copies for yourselves, get those models added into your collection. Hopefully it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. But thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.